you today? So today is going to be a bit of a follow-up conversation in regards to the whole Madeline Pendleton situation. Um, and so in my previous live stream, I covered a specific situation with messages between Madeline and a customer, and in there we can see where I need to work on my decolonizing, particularly when it comes to misgendering kelp. So sorry about that. But that goes to show decolonizing is a journey, and nobody, when we call out social issues, it's not about doing a witch hunt or anything. It's just about discussing how can we improve, right? Um, and so for me, I feel like something that's getting lost also in the mix with what's happening is where on a certain level, I don't feel there is accountability, and I've discussed that quite for 3 hours yesterday, where I don't feel that there is accountability on Madeline's side for sure. And then on other levels, I feel some of what people are saying is pretty extreme. Um, and I know that I called Madeline a settler colonizer. I think I stand by that. But what we're not going to do is we can discuss, I think, you know what? Okay, so there's certain people who I feel I should not be speaking to because regardless, it's just not my place to speak on certain community issues, right? But when it comes to people who are not impacted by this, um, I'm not going to, for what I'm trying to say is I'm not going to tell black people whether or not to compare this to Emmett Till situation because I don't want to, I'm not here to tone police you or speak for you. That's not what I'm here to do. But I will say to people who are not in that community, let us not do that. You know what I'm saying? Let's let other people feel how they feel about what impacts their community and not tell them how to feel about that. They can if that's how they feel, they get to feel that way because that's their lived experience. But if we don't have that, for us to do so, I feel is tokenizing a situation that is extremely traumatic and doesn't impact us to, just to kind of weaponize that trauma and discrimination as an insult. And that's not okay. Like, if you're going to discuss what is like actual discrimination and stuff, like, stick to that and stick to those facts for you, And if you don't have that lived experience, you can't determine those facts. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to say. Is that I don't know. And that may not even be a good thing for me to have said. I could be very inappropriate here speaking on things I shouldn't be speaking on. Um, but yeah, I've seen a lot of that. And then and I'm talking about from people that look like me and not only look like me, but like don't even have like, I don't know, like any sort of connection, I think, to a community that isn't white centric. But that's just my feeling. Those are people who I'm talking to. I'm like, that's inappropriate. Let's like not us not do that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's okay for me to say though, but that's just kind of how I feel. Like, if I don't know if that's okay for me to say, because for me, it's just like if I saw people doing that where it came to like Native community issues, I would just be like going off, like, fuck you, bitches. Um, you know what I mean? Because I don't know. But you know what? That's just me. That's just me. I apologize if that's out of place. And yeah. Okay, so today though, I want to talk about a few different things. This is gonna be another long ass intro. I'm so sorry, guys. Um, we're gonna go over some Reddit threads about the whole Madeline Pendleton situation. I want to talk a bit about Google Trend reports. We're gonna be all over the place. We're gonna be politics. We're doing marketing. We're doing gossip. We're all over the place today. Um, and we're doing economics. Fucking. So we're gonna look at Google Trend Report. We're gonna look at this creator, the customer that I covered yesterday. Their handle is Kelp on TikTok. Well, they have a friend, and their friend is Cat on Beach, I think. I don't know, but something like that. But fucking wait, it's in my title. Yeah, that was right, I think. Okay, so Kat posted a redacted version of the trade audit report from Sudex regarding their ethics for Tunnel Vision. Um, and so Tunnel Vision is Madeline Pendleton's clothing company. And so we're going to check that out. And then we're also going to just talk a bit about the concept of brand extension as well as it relates to yesterday's conversation and some more things that I've processed too. And then I also, before we do all of that though, I just want to lead with some information about communism that I don't know if people are aware of in regards to Karl Marx and Marx theory. Um, and I'm talking about MARX for the caption, not getting that right. But yeah, second, um, I just want to talk a little bit about that real quick too. And just to lead with, a lot of people, when we talk about anti-capitalism, they think let's move from one monetary structure to another in regards to transitioning to capitalism to communism. But that's very much just kind of like, to me, it's a lot like the difference between a Democrat and a Republican. You're still upholding colonialism, in my opinion. And that is because either way, you're assigning an arbitrary value to labor. And either way, you're then putting the means of production um, and you're putting the ability to live based on means of production. You know what I'm saying? And you're not just living at face value based on what it takes to get the resources to live, because it's still going to be based off of exploitation of labor and profit centered, even if theoretically the income would be distributed differently. Um, so yeah, like I'm just saying, fucking for me, like with communism, um, even even though it's like, oh, let's all get paid the same amount of money, it's just like, why does money need to exist? Money is the root of all evil for me, and it's not like, if theoretically capitalism, communism, there's nothing wrong theoretically with the political ideology. If you think of like ways to do it, any of it could work theoretically, to me, right? Theoretically there's nothing wrong with a goddamn free market, right? um but it's what we do with that under the confines of colonialism. And whether you like it or not, communism, as we understand it, particularly in regards to Karl Marx theory, is also a colonial construct. It's not a decolonized concept. So if you're just moving from one colonial concept to another colonial concept, you're not really decolonizing, in my opinion. And before we get there, real quick on another point on that, I just want to recommend a book. So I don't know if you can see this, but a book that I read is, I don't know how to fucking say his name. Money Changes Everything: How Finance Has Made Civilization Possible by William N. Goetzman. And I'm not recommending this book because I think that this dude is well, I mean, I think the historical facts in here could be like relatively accurate, but it's more of the perspective on those facts that I disagree with, if that makes sense. Like, it's not that I'm saying these things didn't happen. I just don't like what he has to say about the things that happened. You know what I mean? I don't know. But, um, my point being, fucking, this is a really big book. It is like over 500, between 5 and 600 page book. So this is a really shitty summary. My shitty summary of this 600-page book is basically, I feel like, not to put words in his mouth, but I feel like the point he's trying to make is how great capitalism is and how we need money, um, because it makes life better, right? I think that's what he's trying to prove. But for me, what I take from this book is we were fine before money and we'll be fine without it. And it's fascinating to read because it gives you a lot of insight into the historical development of capitalism and like colonial mindsets of it, you know what I mean? But I disagree with a lot of his take on these events in terms of the implications of what are the utility of capitalism on society. I find it very white saviorism focused and white centric and white, like, I don't know if I'm making sense, right? But the reason I'm saying that is when we think of that, when we think of communism, we think of capitalism, we think of these colonial concepts of um, economics where we put our local resources and base that on assigning an arbitrary value to worth, to where you must still work in order to live. Because that's another thing with communism. Yeah, it theoretically would solve income disparity, but it doesn't in terms of like working capacity, but it doesn't address income disparity in terms of unemployment and in terms of the working conditions that create the systems to where why there's unemployment and why certain people aren't able to work in certain social scenarios, right? Um, and why there's not access in society. It doesn't, like, going from capitalism to communism wouldn't address or change these social issues. It would only change the distribution of the wealth for the people who are producing labor, and also the whole basis of communism, well, and capitalism too. But what one of the things they share in common is that you must be producing labor in order to be deemed worthy of making a living, and I disagree with that on face value. And so where I was talking about how like a lot of people see politics as a line yesterday, and it's actually like a circle when it comes to the left and the right, in terms of they all just it's just a circle upholding colonialism. It's the circle of colonialism. The same with these economic systems based on assigning an arbitrary value to nothing. What we got to do is get away from all of that, go back to tribal sovereignty, go back to decolonizing, to pre-colonial, to native ways, to where we were taking care of the earth, because earth provides our resources, our economics, mother earth. Okay? We don't, like, what the fuck, why are we burning fucking, well, I guess we're using cards now, but still, plastic. That's fucking plastic. Because you know what? Why the fuck did cards expire every few years? Now I gotta go get a fucking new one? What the shit? Just like give me a goddamn card that works for a long ass time, but just like why the fuck do I what's the point in that? Right? These things. Like there are just certain things that we do that are destroying the fucking planet. And it's under the means of assigning arbitrary value to production in order to maximize that profit. And whether you go from capitalism to communism, that wouldn't necessarily change, in my opinion, because it doesn't redefine the social norms or the social hierarchies. It only redefines the means in which the wealth is redistributed. And I know on a certain level it does place the ownership from government to society theoretically. So that could be like hypocritical oxymoron. But what I mean is it who the fuck you think it's gonna be the same, it's all the same people. We're all the same humans. It's like humanity, society needs to have some social change before, like, you know what I mean? Like that, like whether it doesn't matter if you have to cut the head off the dragon, another one will grow. You gotta kill the whole dragon sometimes. Sometimes there's like another, I don't know, that's a bad metaphor, but there's just like another fucking like person to replace whoever. And if you just like let's just destroy and dismantle one colonial system to replace it with another, you're not going to get to a productive or progressive society, in my opinion. You just have to focus, in my opinion, in America. I can't speak to other places. For my opinion, from my perspective, for my family heritage and lineage, I just believe we need to focus on tribal sovereignty, put the means of production back into indigenous people's hands. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. That's just me. Okay, so let me roll my intro and let's actually get into this thing. I'm so sorry. Hi, my name is Lexi, aka Deaf Child. I'm born deaf, hard of hearing. Deafness runs in my family genetically. Speech is not fully accessible to me. My team was one of the top teams between 2020 and 2024 in New Orleans and Louisiana. I began doing business as Deaf Child in 2013, marketing 2011, and sales 2009. I've earned 50 plus certifications in marketing and sales, and I have my Bachelor of Science from Loyola University, New Orleans, with a music industry studies major and a business administration minor. Visit my site at noladeafchild.com. Okay, so let's just talk a little bit more about the ways in which Marxism was based off of, and which, so first of all, I linked to an article, and obviously I'm not able to join this at this time, because I'm not in college. It's just JSTOR thing, but I can read 100 online for free. Maybe I should do that. Okay, so, but I didn't do that. Fucking anyway, but all we need right now is just this little abstract, and then if you want to log in, you can read the whole thing for yourself. So, first of all, if you take a look at this article, it's called Were Marx and Engels White Racist? The Prolet-Aryan Outlook of Marxism. And it's by Karl Marx. And the introduction, it says, the history of Europe, the socioeconomic evolution of its peoples, and the cultural and political institutions they have created serve as the foundation for every universalist philosophy manufactured in the West. Marxism-Leninism is no exception. Using the West as its yardstick, Marxism-Leninism measures the rest of the world and finds it wanting. What was strictly European and temporal becomes universal and definitive. Non-Western societies in general, and Black societies in particular, are exempt from Marx and Engels' analysis. Inasmuch as 3/4 of mankind evolved, developed, and lives today outside the West, we must raise some serious questions as to the genuine universality of their conclusions. The British Marxist Eric Hobsbawm agrees that although Marx's and Engels' strong point was their analysis of the period of capitalism, their knowledge of preceding epochs was poor. Now it is generally agreed, he said, that Marx and Engels' observation on pre-capitalist epochs rests on far less thorough study than Marx's descriptions and analysis of capitalism. So yeah. And then I can't really read the rest, so I'm going to stop right there. But the whole beginning of this is a fancier way of discussing my point with how this is a this is an ideology that comes from a colonial concept, and I don't feel that it takes into account, the other constructs, because it only came from the confines of colonialism. So therefore, it doesn't have a decolonized perspective within it. You know what I'm saying? And so even if it has valid critiques of capitalism, which is how I think a lot of people fall into communism, it's still itself also very harmful. And what I don't like is when people aren't willing to look at the social issues that come with communism. So here's a couple more articles that I feel more heavily outline that. So also linked in the description, it's called In the Interest of Civilization, Marxist View of Race and Culture in the 19th Century, and it's by Diane Paul. So it talks about how on August 7th, 1866, Karl Marx wrote the first in a series of letters to Friedrich Engels and Ludwig Kugelmann, enthusiastically recommending a new book, The Origin and Transformation of Man and Other Beings, by the French traveler and amateur scientist Pierre Tremeau. Marx's enthusiasm was not shared by Engels, who thought the book absurd. or by the scientific community or general public. Okie dokie. So, and then it says the Tunnel Correspondence is fairly well known, at least among scholars concerned with Marx's and Engels' attitudes towards Darwin. I'm skipping around here in this intro. And then it says, as someone interested in that general topic, I eventually was led to read the original letters, having up until then relied on the summaries and shortened versions in the literature. I was immediately struck by a sentence my studies had not prepared me to find. So this is a sentence that was written by Karl Marx on August 7th, 1866 to Friedrich Engels and Ludwig Kugelmann about this bitch named Trumeau. Okie dokie. And it says, as he, and they're referring to Trumeau, indicates, he was in Africa a long time. The common, and it says Negro, type is only a degeneration of a much higher one. The fuck does that mean, bitch? The fuck were you saying, Karl Marx? Karl Marx said the common, is it okay for, I don't feel comfortable saying this word. And I'm like, is it okay for me to say this word? That's, maybe I shouldn't, if I feel like maybe I shouldn't be, I got my answer. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Fucking, but you know what I'm saying? Like, am I making sense? Like, am I wrong for thinking this sentence is fucked up? I don't want to hear, oh, it's the times, 1866. Fuck that. No. No. This is, you can't tell me this is, this ain't, no. All right, and then, also linked in the description, so, Marx-Engels Correspondence, 1862. Marx to Engels in Manchester. And it says, on the first line, second paragraph, it says, the Jewish inward LaSalle, who I'm glad to say is leaving at the end of this week, has happily lost another 5,000 tailors in an ill-judged speculation. So, this is anti-Semitic and anti-Black in my opinion. That's just me. Just let that sit with you. Like when you defend communism, like, let's take it back to Marxism. And let me just check myself on something real quick. So the origin of communism is an economic and political philosophy that originated from the ideas of Karl Marx. Do you really think that advocating for a political idea, for a man that said as the common end type is only a degeneration of a much higher one, and that the Jewish inward entity is leaving and lost money? Do y'all really let this sit with you? Like, when you, this is what communism is based on. So it's inherently not a decolonized perspective. Okay? That's why I say I don't really support it, because it's just like, you're just going from one, I'm gonna link this search engine result page in the description. You're just going from one colonial perspective to another. You're not actually like decolonizing. But that's just me. You can feel how you feel. I'm not telling you how to feel. I'm just letting you know how I feel. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're more than welcome to. Unfortunately for me, I just got a notification that this bitch disconnected, and then it shows me that it reconnected. I'm not sure how what I lost. So what I think I'll do is just keep going, and then when I rewatch it, if it didn't get something that I know I covered, then I will just add that into a follow-up live stream and cover it again. So I got a notification on OBS that my shit disconnected or reconnected. And sometimes when it does that, it doesn't skip a beat. It's a fluid stream. And sometimes when it does that, it will pause me somewhere and I have to figure out, okay, where did I leave off on, and try and like put the narrative together. I don't know if I'm making sense. Okay. But under metadata, I noticed Tunnel Vision was marketing themselves as clothes for deadbeat, low-life weirdos. I do understand a certain level of, like, for example, one of my former clients marketed himself as a delinquent because, and he was just like, yeah, I'm a delinquent. He doesn't want to fucking work for anybody, so come party with me. And he was a DJ, you know, and it worked out for him because it's his vibe, like fuck society, let's go party kind of thing. And it worked for him because he treated people really, really well. So even though his whole branding was on, are you a delinquent too? Let's go be pieces of shit together, you know, in a similar way that Madeline's trying to do. The difference is he he had a top tier customer service himself. He treated people really well. He treats his customers really well. And I don't like that guy for other reasons. So if he sits watches this, he's gonna be like, is that bitch really complimenting me right now? And I'm like, yeah, I guess I did. But anyway, but fucking but he does do that really well, you know, like even people I don't like, I feel like I can admit what they do well, right? Like it's not that I don't think they don't do things well, it's that I just don't like them for other fucking reasons. I'm sorry. But anyway, fucking, so that's where when she's calling people deadbeat, low life, and weirdos while treating them like shit, I don't think that goes well together because it kind of looks like a projection. Like it's no longer just your branding of how you feel treated, it's how you're treating others. You know what I'm saying? You see that difference? So I want to reflect on that as well. Um, but yeah, fucking, so let's get into the Reddit threads that I found. Um, so the first one though, in TikTok gossip, the thread is Tunnel Vision claims it gets soft canceled constantly, and this is from 9 months ago, and that's why I find this relevant because it's like last year shit. This isn't this year stuff. You know what I mean? Um, and so, but part of the people we're discussing in here, you know, they were discussing the pants situation for from kelp that we've been discussing, um and people were talking about how Madeline was calling kelp a cop for trying to get a like some sort of financial incentive, and they were talking about how it was really fucked up for them to gaslight her also on blaming the on not asking for the refund and things like that. I'm paraphrasing. I am not saying their word for word. I'm summarizing here. But yeah, but all of the comments here are people discussing, you know, they've had bad experiences. You know, people are saying like so and so ordered dress, they're getting the wrong color, not able to get that resolved and things like that. Um, and people are talking about how she always handled things pretty unprofessional. And one person said that a bit late to this thread, but Tunnel Vision's shady as fuck. Ordered from them 3 times and there was an issue each time. Um, And so, yeah, like there's just like you go check this thread out and you can see, there's like a history of this in my opinion. Um, and for me, I know I'm over here, criticizing what Madeline Pendleton's issue history is in business. For me, my issues for what I've done legally, I've been arrested for aggravated assault and simple battery that got dropped to disturbing the peace. That's a different story. I got arrested another time for disturbing the peace. That was for egging somebody. Uh, well, their house, not them specifically. Uh, that was when I was drunk. But also, fuck that dude. Um, and then I've been sober for like 5 years from alcohol, so yay. Since September 19th, 2009. So, or is it September 9th? Now I can't remember if it's 9/9/19 or 9/19/19. I have to check my Facebook. You know what? Now I think it's 9/9/19. I made a Facebook post when I decided to stop drinking, so I have to check that. Yeah. Anyway, so sorry. Fucking and the reason that happened too, like I also can check when I slammed my face into the concrete. I'll have to do a different story time on that because that comes with gruesome pictures. So the reason I stopped drinking alcohol, well, how I hit rock bottom was I crashed a motorized bike, blackout drunk, no helmet, applied my face to the concrete. Like I was real fucked up. So I just got to figure out what day that happened. Then I know when I last got drunk. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I can determine that. Um, but yeah, I think it was September 9th. Now I'm thinking it was totally 9/9/19. All right, my bad. I don't know why I'm so hung up on this. Anyway, another Reddit thread. Someone said tunnel vision is actually made in China. Um, and theoretically, there's nothing that itself wouldn't be a problem. It's just the way in which Madeline advertises themselves. Because let's go take it back here. It says Rag House sourced vintage clothing and our own house brand designs. Um, so let's just check that out real quick. Where's the about page? Oh, that's right in front of me. They're saying house own house brand designs, all made sweatshop free in small batch runs. Hmm. So they're using Shopify. Shopify does have an option to do drop shipping on demand. I wonder if they're incorporating that. I love life. You can't make this shit up. They're doing drop ship. Whoopsie. My bad, y'all. Hold up. Let me show you what Printful is because I use Printful for my store. Printful is drop shipping print on demand products. Okay, I go to my product catalog. I put my designs on this shit and then I put it in my store. I'm happy to tell you bitches this, but that's how I market it. That's how I market it. I don't lie. I don't tell you this is homemade. I tell you it's print on demand drop shipping. Um, that's not hard to say. Okay, so this is my clothing line here. So let's check out the bodycon dress. All right, so you look what I put here. Look what I put here, product and shipping. This is a branded product printed on demand by Printful. Let's Google. What is Printful? Print on demand company. When you use Printful, you don't even touch the product. You don't even possess the product. You don't even ever have inventory or possession of it. They do all of it for you. They put the design on it for you. They hold the inventory for you. All you do is come up with the design. They hold it and then they push it out. I'm just letting y'all know there's nothing wrong with using Printful. I use Printful, but be upfront. Be upfront. And so the way I found this out, I right clicked on their website and I clicked view page source. When I click, wrong button. When I click view page source, you're able to see the code. I was thinking, what if they use a drop shipper? And so I decided to type in the one I use, Printful. And what do you know? They have a Printful extension. I don't know their supplier, so I cannot officially determine if or which, without further investigation, their items are from Printful. If any, they could have the extension on their site without actively using it. But I just think it's so interesting. Isn't it interesting? Isn't it fascinating? Isn't it utterly fucking fascinating that that just so happens to be the case. Just added that in the description, that link if you want to go look for yourself. So I viewed the page source and then I clicked Control F and I typed in Printful. And that's how I came to find that they had the extension, and it does look like they could be using the customizer for their Shopify products. Fascinating. Fascinating. I wonder which or how, so the safety pin thing wouldn't have and then, but Printful, I've been pretty happy with the quality of the print. So, anyway, but also certified sweatshop-free environment. To be honest, Printful uses different suppliers. They don't use like just one supplier for everything. For example, you can get 3 different types of t-shirts. So let's look at, like, you can get, let's just look at shirts. You can get shirts from like several different suppliers. So, fuck, whatever. Let's just look at, why can't I just see it by section? God damn, fuck you bitches. All right, let's look at these t-shirts real quick. So, I'm sorry. So here we got one from Bella Canvas. We've got one from Gildan. We've got this, is Cotton Heritage the brand? You know what I mean? We've got Canvas. We got Bella Canvas, Gildan, so these are at least 2 different suppliers right here. Like there's these different, like they're not all the same supplier. So let's see, oh, they are sweatshop free. Okay, that's cool. These bitches are more humane than I thought. Look, man, I haven't looked into this shit. I'm gonna do some more investigation on that. So that's interesting. So technically she's saying true things then if these suppliers do fit those requirements. If let's say principal only uses suppliers that meet those requirements, because these are actually all of these suppliers are pretty well known. And I actually haven't heard, but I actually also haven't looked into call outs from these suppliers. Um, but I just think that is fascinating. Um, anyway, fucking, yeah. What do you guys think? Do you guys think she's using drop shipping on demand? I think she could be personally. Just personal. It's on the site. Anyway, but how are you gonna claim? Oh no, wait. Okay, so yeah, the whole made in China thing. Yeah. Now, these certifications or whatever are supposed to certify that they're like they've got humane working environments in the clothing production, but honestly, a lot of the laws and regulations that are put in place are really more to protect the employer than the employee, in my opinion. So while I do find these certifications can sometimes mean that people actually care to learn to what it takes to do good, a lot of times they're using it like, what's the bare minimum I have to do to cover my ass? You know what I mean? Um, in my opinion. Fucking, but yeah, they're talking about how, but there's cheap and bathing suit like material. Hmm. A lot of people are saying companies that work with Chinese production can be ethical, and I totally agree. And that for me wasn't my point. It wasn't about like that. For me, it's just about the discrepancy where she advertises herself as doing this in-house, and then you find out she's like, and so I think it's the lack of transparency on what's done in-house versus what is outsourced for me. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, let's move on. So this other, and again, this is gossip. I'm not looking into this. I can't verify this. I am not gonna go look at public records about her housing and her ownership. I'm not doing that. I have shown public records of business owners before, but I did made every effort I could not to show any identifying information that wasn't already publicly available in regards to specific business owners. And I know that Madeline is also one too. But this being a landlord involves doxing people's houses, which isn't something that I ever think I've done intentionally or tried to do. I don't think I've ever done that. You know what I mean? Um, and I mean like done intentionally. Like if I did that, I didn't realize I did that. Someone tell me and I'll go take it down. Cause I'll bitch at people. I'll say a lot of fucked up things, but I don't go posting people's addresses. Um, anyway, so people are saying that she's a landlord or whatever, but I don't have any proof that she's a landlord. I don't know if she is or isn't a landlord. So I'm not saying she's a landlord. I'm just saying if she was a landlord, it would be pretty funny because she has discussed, being against that, in my opinion, or I could see how people might take that her video. And like I don't follow her. I have watched her videos. In the past, I believe if you scroll enough on my reposts and my likes on my TikTok, you will see that I have before reposted shit she said. Because just because I don't like things she is saying doesn't mean I've disagreed with everything that she's ever said, right? Um, and also, like, I feel like a lot of times you'll come across videos and you'll like a take and repost it, and then you won't form a different opinion on the person or find more information or be exposed to other things that they've done until later. You know what I'm saying? Then be like, ooh. Um, So yeah, that's another thing. Part of me is like, should I be more careful with who I repost? I don't know. Maybe I repost a little too freely. But yeah, fucking, all right, we're gonna move on though because I can't verify any of this. There's no evidence in there, and that looks to be gossip. But I just wanted to think of the theory real quick. Um, I hate that these autoplay. Let's go back. So next up, cat on the beach, and linked in the description of this video, we've got the TikTok and this post there. We've got the Sadet's report here regarding the ethical trading and all of that. And so I figured we could just look at all of that. The employee information is redacted. And the summary here provided by Cat on the Beach in the caption, it says she's going to provide, I don't know why I'm saying she, I don't know this person's pronouns. Super. That's, see, there's a thing where I need to decolonize again. What are your, does it tell me? It does not tell me. Who knows? But anyway, it says fucking, I'll provide an entire document ASAP, have to redact employee information first. TLDR, not a sweatshop, but not exactly a properly cared for, equitable collective. Tunnel Vision also, Madeline has explanations for some of these problems, mainly that China protects workers, but it doesn't always. Okay, is this where the Chinese thing is in place? But I don't know. I feel like no, well, no. Why are we talking about? Well, no country does. You know what I mean? There's like bugs. So we have some of my rooms have window units, and bugs get in my house through the cracks because fucking New Orleans. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm constantly seeing bugs in my like just like a mosquito, not like just bugs. You know, like just one every now and then. Like I don't know. I feel like I'm making no sense, right? Okay. Can I? Why won't it let me go? I guess that's not a video. Sometimes the videos will let you go full screen. And then I used to be able to control plus and it would zoom in, but lately that's not working for me. Okay, so so this is linked in the description here. We've got the audit report from SEDEX Audit for their members' ethical trade audit report. So the description of the non-compliance, it starts with non-compliance against ETI code and non-compliance against local law. It says based on the receipts for social insurance from June 2021 through May 2022, it was noted that insufficient social insurance coverage was identified. For example, as per the receipt for most current month of May 2022, only 10 out of 57 eligible employees had participated in basic endowment insurance, unemployment insurance, injury insurance, medical insurance, and maternity insurance. Note 1. There was a total of 61 employees, including 4 rehired workers who were more than retire age currently in the factory. 2. Factory had also bought commercial accident insurance for a total of 11 employees, which was validating from March 18, 2022 to March 17, 2023. Local law and or ETI requirement. Social insurance law of the People's Republic of China. Okay, I'm not going to read all of that. Then it goes recommended. Oh yeah, the article. Okay, well, I'm just gonna say this talks about how the social insurance law requires that people participate in the insurance, in recording to, or whatever. Um, and then it also says that wages and benefits paid for a standard working week meet at a minimum national legal standards or industry benchmark standards, whichever is higher. And it says recommended corrective action. Factories should ensure all workers enroll in all 5 types of social insurance. The fuck? Social insurance schemes? That doesn't sound good. In order to receive their statutory welfare benefits and to comply with the law. I didn't know workers had to enroll in insurance to comply with the law. Like, doesn't that come out of your money? I'm gonna not speak for China, but damn, is that in America? That's weird. Um, fucking non-compliance. It says one non-compliance against ETI additional elements. Through factory tour management and workers interview, it was noted that ETI base code was displayed on board. However, 8 out of 10 interviewed employees were not aware of it. Yeah. Um, and so they're supposed to communicate that. Um, it said good examples observed, none observed. Anyway, I don't know why that made. I thought that was funny. And then it says non-compliance against ETI code and non-compliance against local law. Through factory tour, document review, and management interview, it was noted that total 4 workers who was not contacting chemicals at the packaging department didn't have an occupational health examination since joining the factory. And then it says PRC Law Prevention and Control of Occupational Diseases, Article 36. An employer shall conduct regular occupational health examinations for those laborers who are engaged in using or contacting noxious substances in the course of their work as required by Security Production Administrator Department or Medical Administrative Department under the State Council. Okay, I could see why if you're dealing with chemicals, it could then be legally required that you need health insurance to be in that position. Or maybe I'm wrong, but like, yeah. And then it's base code 3.1. Safe and hygienic working environment shall be provided, bearing in mind the prevailing knowledge of the industry and of any specific hazards. Adequate steps shall be taken to prevent accidents and injury to health arising out of, associated with, or occurring in the course of work by minimizing, so far as is reasonably practicable, the causes of hazards inherent in the working environment. Recommended corrective action. Factories should conduct regular occupational health examinations for those laborers who are engaged in using or contacting noxious articles in their working process. So, yeah. And 6. Working hours are not excessive. And then it goes on into the ETI about working hours. And then it says current system and evidence examined. Current systems. 1. The normal working hour system of 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week was carried out in the factory. 2. The working time of workers was recorded by fingerprinting system, and the factory provided the working hour records from May 2021 and May 12, 2022 for review during the audit. 3. Based on the workers' interview and working hour records provided by the factory, it was noted that workers had 0 to 2 overtime hours at night per day, occasionally 8 hours on Saturdays sometimes. 4. Based on the working time records from May 21st to May 12th, 2022, and workers interview. Wait, did I say May 21st? May 2021. My bad. I can't speak. And workers interview. Workers had at least 1 day off in every 7 days. God damn. Number 3 and 4. Number 1 and 2 are like whatever, but numbers 3 and 4 here are just like. How the fuck can you be advocating about, workers' rights and shit, but not be addressing the social issues? You know what I mean? Like, that don't sit right with me. Anyway, that's just me. That's just me. Feel free to form your own conclusions. And then it says, do any standard contracted working hours defined contract employment agreements exceed 48 hours per week? It says no. It says our workers provided 1 day off in every 7-day period or 2 in 14 days. It says 1 in 7 days. Is this allowed by local law? Yes, but does that mean it's ethical? No. Fucking, and then it goes standard contracted hours worked. For standard working hours over 48 hours per week found, no. Then it says any local waivers, local law permissions which allowed averaging annualized hours for this site, no. Okie dokie. And then it says actual overtime hours worked in sample. Highest overtime hours, 10 out of 10 samples from most current month of April 2022. Daily overtime matched to, and that's the same for March 2022 as well as December 2021. So yeah. I wonder if that's per person or total of the sample. But still, they're acting like 2 hours, 10-hour work days aren't that big of a deal. Is that what that is? Or are they saying across the board only 2 more hours were accounted for overtime? I don't know. Because if it's like 15 to 30 minutes, it's like, okay, it still sucks ass, but I'm like, it's not as extreme as 2 hours. It's just like, goddamn. Um, but anyway, no medical facility, that's normal. No doc. Oh, there is a doctor on site though. Okay, cool. Uh, no transportation for the workers. That's pretty standard. Blah blah blah. Blah. Secure jet. No. They're saying it's meeting legal obligations and shit like that, and meeting customer requirements. Let's see. Current systems and evidence. This one's about freedom of association and right to collective bargaining. Um, and it's saying, based on document review, management and workers interview, it was identified that worker representatives were available and they were elected by workers freely. 2. The procedure and meeting records show that the worker representatives communicated with factory management quarterly, and relevant records were kept by the factory. 3. There was no trade union established in the factory. 4. All interviewees confirmed that they could raise their complaints to the workers' representatives, suggestion bots, or boss directly. Are they allowed to unionize there? Anyway, and then it says evidence includes complaint and handling record, freedom of association policies, meeting minutes, and selection program records. And yeah, okay. So their worker representatives were available, but I guess not a union. Is it a legal requirement? No. Okay. Is it a legal requirement to have a worker committee? No. Um, is there any form of effective worker management communication channel? They said yes. Is there suggestion box, worker representatives, or report to boss? Is there any evidence of free elections? Yes. Does the supplier provide adequate facilities to allow the union or committee to conduct related business? Yes. Um, name of union, not applicable, so I guess there isn't one. Um, if there is no union, is there a parallel means of consultation with workers, like a worker committee? Yes. Are all workers aware of who their representatives are? Yes. Are workers representative freely elected? Yes. Date of the last election was October 2021. And based on worker interviews, they knew they had their representatives and they knew who they were. Do workers know what topics can be raised in their representatives? Yes. Based on workers' interviews, workers could raise any concerns, suggestions, or grievances to the worker representatives. Then it gives some examples. And then it says the worker representatives, union representatives interviewed. Yes. Please describe evidence that it's effective. They were saying the meeting records kept by a factory, and the latest records the meeting was held April 29, 2022. The worker representation had some COVID shit to say. I can't read it. Oh, right here, it's cut off, but it says about reducing the risk of forced labor, child labor, discrimination, harassment, and abuse. Wow, I don't know what that is in relation to, but that is, wow. Okay. It says Is there any evidence of effective implementation? Give details. Based on document review and worker interviews, factory had established relevant procedures about reducing the risk. Oh, okay. They were saying reducing the risk of forced labor, child labor, discrimination, harassment. That's okay. Etc. And provided relevant training for workers. That's good. It says, have managers and workers received training in the standards for forced labor, child labor, discrimination? Yes. Okay, is there evidence that's effective? Yeah. Details, training materials, training records, attendee signatures, management workers' interviews confirm that they received the training for the policy procedures. Okie dokie. Do they have system certifications? No, they didn't need it. They said none that was identified. Is there an HR department? Yes. Factory organization chart was provided. Human resources department was available, and the department header reported to general manager. Is there a senior person manager responsible for implementation of the code? Yes. Is there a policy to ensure all worker information is confidential? Yes. Is there an effective communication procedure to ensure confidential information is kept confidential? Yes. And are risk assessments conducted to evaluate policy and procedure effectiveness? Yes. Does the facility have a process to address issues found when conducting risk assessments and all that good shit? Yes. Okie dokie. Let's move on. So they talk about annual worker turnover. Numbers of workers leaving as a percentage. So 2021 was 3.5%, 2022 was 1.5%, so that's an improvement. Current quarterly turnover was 2.1%. Interesting. Leaving from their first 90 days within the first 3 months. Okay. Annual absenteeism, why can't I speak? That's less than 1%. Quarterly absenteeism's also less than 1%. Are accidents recorded? Yes. If there was an accident, the factory makes records. Annual number of worker-related accidents? None, apparently. So yeah. And then it goes into annual worker turnover again. Oh, I think it's a repost. That same document, repage, or am I wrong? Okay. And then it says, what form of worker representation union is there? It's the worker representatives. Night production, yes. No night shift worker range in the factory. However, workers sometimes work overtime till 10:30 on weekdays. Damn, that's a long ass time. Is there any on-site provided worker accommodation? No. Off-site accommodation? No. Last page, I think. Yeah. Accurate records shown? Yes. Nah. So, yeah, the rest of this, legal minimum wage grades. Are there different legal minimum wage grades? No. For the lowest paid production workers, are wages paid for standard contracted hours below or above the legal minimum? Above. Please indicate the breakdown of workforce per earnings. 100% earning above minimum wage. Bonus scheme found. I don't like the wording. It just reminds me of capitalism as a pyramid scheme. So I think communism could be a different one, except for now everybody makes less money. I don't know. Or everybody makes the same amount. Some people make less, some people make more. It still bases the means of production on the concept of like inherently needing labor to produce that value, which I disagree with. But whatever. All right. So really, it's like the first, like what, 5 or so pages of these are like the juicy shit, and the rest I think are interesting for processing, but boring. You know what I'm saying, to be honest? Let's zoom out here, reset. But yeah, so everybody's like, it could be worse, but how much they charge, it should be so much better. The quality's so bad, I don't know how people didn't catch that. Yeah. Alrighty, so I also want to talk real quick about how this will impact the brand and the marketing, the connection of the marketing. Um, so one of the things where Madeline was trying to separate herself as a business owner, um, and trying to say like, even though I'm monetizing off of this platform, um, because you're hitting me up about my clothing company, even though you're my customer, you're like somehow in the wrong because I'm not connected to my own company. However, I want to put out there, I would argue because you're such a public facing role, your company and your doing business as yourself as an author, these two things are brand extensions of yourself and of each other and how you're representing you as a business person to the world. And when you're in business with someone, you know what I mean? It's about like having value alignment. And so part of what I really don't like is weaponizing colonial rhetoric, which communism is colonial rhetoric, to be shady in business. You know what I mean? I think there's something to speak for how, with custom, just because someone's a customer doesn't mean they can say anything they want to you or something like that. However, in my opinion, Calc never said anything inappropriate. So all that shit really bothered me. And I feel like it's just really comes back to individualism. A lot of people are thinking of communism because it would benefit them individually, or they see how it could do individuals better, right? But what they're missing is a collective, how to organize as a collective, as a community. You know what I'm saying? It's not about moving as an individual, it's about moving as a community organization, um, and having that support system and that support network. And there shouldn't be any sort of monetary value assigned to that. That's arbitrary bullshit. And so that's, you know what I mean? But yeah, so right now you can see this is all really trending and surging. Um, so the last month we can see where Madeline Pendleton is surging here. So the last week or so, starting about August 12th, August 11th, August 12th, Madeline Pendleton really started surging, and on the 13th and 14th as well. And now we are going into the decline. And I linked in the description of this video a playlist where we've been analyzing trend reports with the whole Rayleigh Rukavina Kaze situation. And so if you want to find out more information and sources on trend reports, on predictions, and forecasting, you can go check that out there. But what we can see here, in my opinion, these surges are going to come from outrage cycles. I feel like Madeline is a pretty controversial content creator, and so a lot of her content, whether or not Madeline is creating this with the intention of let me rage bait people, I'm not saying that Madeline is intentionally doing that. I'm saying the impact of the way people disagree with Madeline, it ends up being to them this perception of it's a perception of why am I fucking blanking all of a sudden? Um, Rage baiting. It's a result of the outrage cycle. You know what I'm saying? So check out the content on the news cycle, check out the outrage cycle. So each time she puts out a take that's perceived as controversial, which other people perceive as rage baiting, whether or not that's her intention, you're going to then see a 2-week cycle of engagement on that until it trickles out. And then for each other controversial take, you're then going to see another resurgence. Um, this one, however, really escalated because of the way community got involved, in my opinion. And I don't want to speak too much about that because it's not my community to speak on. But I will say that is why I feel this surge is going higher than right now it's surging more. The trend report is tracking the interest in Madeline Pendleton surging more right now than it ever has, like 5 times more than it ever has. Because, in my opinion, this has to do with, and right now this is gonna go drop because because she hasn't said anything new. So unless she says something newly horrendous to someone else, you know what I mean? That people take offense to. This is gonna decline if she can write it out. But if people get offended again by something she says, then it's gonna come back up. And right now, because of the specific timing of the election, because of the specific social issues intertwined with this having real life implications that people are very triggered by. So it's moving from theory, like all of these other things, whether or not people agreed with it, a lot of it was theory. Even though like except for like the whole Palestine commentary and things like that, I'm sticking strictly to the communism discussion and the capitalism discussion and things like that I've seen Madeline post on her videos regarding politics. Previously, it's been a lot of theory, and I'm not speaking to the things that are not theory because she also speaks on actual shit, like, you know. So on the theory though, it's this. I feel like that's how like where she thought this was gonna go with that was sticking to theory. However, she's not impacted by the implications of what she's speaking on in this specific regard. Like in certain ways, we're all impacted by colonialism, white supremacy, and capitalism. But on another level, when you're speaking on a community that you're not a part of, you have to acknowledge where you're not impacted the way that they are on the thing that you're speaking about, right? And so I think that's where this went extreme left field. And even though no community is a monolith and there's a lot of different takes on this situation, I think it's the lack of accountability that, like, if there was some accountability at any part of this, I feel it, even though people would still be rightly have their valid feelings, you know, they wouldn't have the fuel, like the fuel for processing the feeling and the implication wouldn't continue to be an reflection of, because she's not taking accountability, which is a big reason people are upset. You know what I'm saying? It would solve one of the main reasons people are upset, because how it started could have been well, we all need to decolonize. And, you know, if someone is upset with that, that's valid, but, you know, we all need to decolonize type thing. Like me, I can't get like, me fucking up on pronouns, you know? Um, but it's the response of it, right? And we're not all gonna get it right. I don't get it right because you can't be aware of something that doesn't impact you, now can you? I don't know. So yeah, looking at the interest over time, you can see right now it is trickling, winding down. I think people are gonna chill out for now. It could come back up. Let's see. Let's look at the past day. Yeah, the past day doesn't even have enough data to generate a result. Let's check the past week. All right, let me show you the past week. My bad. Um, and so it peaked on the 14th, and that was 2 days ago. And so from here, we're seeing these additional surges in commentary because people have still having their takes on the situation. And also, I feel even though the pants situation happened like 9 months ago, um, because of the window of opportunity with this topic trending, it was a good time to just let people know, like, if you're questioning the value alignment or the ethics of someone in regards to politics, a great way to gauge that is to look at how they behave in business transactions, in my opinion. That's just me, though. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So just to wrap up today, we did talk about a lot. Today was a bit all over the place, but I also feel like the conversation was well worth it. And so today what we've talked about was, well, first of all, I talked a little bit about this book. It's Money Changes Everything, How Finance Made Civilization Possible by William M. Goatsman. And I don't think I agree with the author, but I do think this book is a fascinating read because it really just made me like double down on fuck money. You know what I'm saying? So if you're wanting to be like fuck money, like reading about why people think money is great just makes me hate it more. I don't know if you feel the same. um I think dust is coming out of this book, though, to be honest. I should really dust my bookshelf. um but yeah, fucking. So we talked about that. We've talked about communism. We've talked about capitalism. With communism, we talked about Karl Marx. We talked about lacking the racism and what I perceive as anti-Semitism as well from him, and how I feel like if you're talking about replacing capitalism with communism, you're just moving from one colonial structure to another. So I really just think we should focus on tribal sovereignty instead, um, and decolonizing instead, and move away from like colonial concepts of assigning arbitrary value to resources and labor and human worth. I'm not for that. Um, so yeah, we looked at the concept of brand extensions. We looked at brand trend report, and we did the reading of the redacted version of the ethical trade audit report for Tunnel Vision. And we also checked out the website. We viewed the page source material for Tunnel Vision's website, and we noticed that there is Printful, a Printful extension added on the Tunnel Vision website. And Printful is a print-on-demand drop shipping company. Um, and so I'm just questioning whether or not that extension is just added to the site for no reason, or if it's getting used and to what extent. And the reason I think this applies, and the only reason I think that it matters that there's the factory report discusses the factory in China, um, literally just kind of is a reflection on the fact that the website does advertise small batched, made in house type thing. And I guess small batched, what I feel like the reason small batch could be misleading when it comes to print on demand drop shipping is, on some ways you could say that you're printing in small batches because you only print on demand with print on demand drop shipping. But on another level, for me, when you think of small batched material, you're thinking of things that you make in small batches. And print on demand, you only make it as it's demanded, which could be one at a time or in a batch, depending on how it's ordered. Um, you know what I mean? So, but I don't know if she's just doing more than one means of production in the clothing company. So perhaps like she's using drop shipping, but she's also doing stuff in the factory and doing other things. Who knows? Who knows? But if people are complaining, some of the issues are people are complaining of the quality of the product. I haven't had the same complaints from Printful as a supplier. And so that leads me to wonder if those items came from a different supplier, right? Um, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just thinking, like, what could that be, right? So I just feel like, things come to lead you to question the means of production within that company. And I do think that also coming back to everything, um, I think Madeline has good ideas in terms of, like, everybody should be paid a living wage or whatever under colonialism. But at the same time, where she acts like CEO, where you need to act like get away from the idea of a hierarchy within a business as if a CEO doesn't have power when that's literally the role of a CEO. That I disagree with. In any organization, in order for a flow and for the change and for things to happen, to move as a collective, you have to make decisions and organize and work together as a collective, and there has to be a decision making process and a final decision maker, because people aren't always going to be able to agree on everything, and so you're going to have to be able to have a way, a structure, a system, a methodology to move things forward, right? I've already explained all that. I'm just spiraling on things I explained in my other thing, but yeah, that's where I'm just like, where she's not acknowledging the power imbalance though that she currently does have, regardless of what she wants the theory to be. I find that that itself is unethical. You know what I mean? It's like Bill Gates being a billionaire. He has the means to end world hunger right now. He can end world hunger right now. And he's like, I'm such a great philanthropist. And yeah, I care about equality. I'm a philanthropist. But he won't end. Why won't you end world hunger, bitch? Give us the, like, share the money then. What? Like, you know what I mean? Like, fucking, so on a certain, I feel like it's another version of that where you're not taking owner, it's, his power is in the financial disparity he has over others. Her power is in her role in the organization. She seems to want the benefits of being a CEO, where it comes with the accolades and the social clout, without the responsibility of where it comes to being accountable for your business, and where it comes to making the decisions, making sure everything is done, um, and all of that. And I do agree that everybody should be paid a living wage. But also, when you're a CEO, sometimes you do take on multiple jobs and you have to do more work than other people, and you will be working longer than other people. At the end of the day, that's what CEOs and business owners, that's when and why CEOs and business owners and managers should get paid more. Now, there are shitty, shady ass CEOs and business owners who make a shit ton of money. They're not even in the fucking building or virtual office or wherever. They just hire someone else to manage it, and they don't pay anybody shit, and they're making all the money, and they don't even do shit, right? That's a thing. That is a possibility. That happens. I'm not saying that's not like a fucking thing. But with a lot of small businesses, those are typically larger businesses that it gets there. With smaller businesses, literally by definition, what it means to be a small business in terms of the size of the organization and the financials involved, um, you yourself are working to put that business forward. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's, if you don't have, you typically as a small business don't usually have the money to go pay for other people. So a lot of times, you know, like the reason you'll be making extra money than other people is because you worked more hours than them. And so here's where it goes from hourly to salary, right? When you put people on salary, you don't, they are, then I would make sure that salary and is fully compensating them for all of the hours you expect them to put into it, right? And so they would still be getting paid hourly at the end of the day in a way, but it's just that it's accounted for in a different metric, right? Versus, you know, like it's a set schedule. Um, where some CEOs and business owners, if they make more money because we don't stop working, we don't get a day off, we are the business. You don't, there's no let me, you know what I mean? There's you, when you get a day off, it's because you're like, okay, I'm gonna take this time off for my mental health and go take a vacation, go take a break, and everybody has to do that. But by definition, though, unless you know what I mean, like Now, I agree with the whole concept of let's redefine capitalism and labor, and I don't agree with everybody has to fucking work. You know what I mean? I don't like that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying shut up and work and be happy with it. I'm saying if you have feelings you have about not wanting to work are valid. However, if you don't want to do the take on the job responsibility roles of the CEO position, I recommend letting someone else do that and then go find the job position you actually want to do. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Uh, because it's not fair to the people who work for you to be held responsible for your job too that they're not getting paid to do when they're doing their own fucking job. You know what I mean? But that's just my opinion. Because, like, I don't know. But I don't know what goes on there. I just know how, what that, I'm just only speaking to a reaction to what was directly said in the messages I read last night. I don't, I could, those messages could not, may not be a reflection of the whole business process. It could just speak to a bad time for Madeline. However, I would say that if the people in that Reddit thread are actual purchasers, that might speak to a different, that might speak to show that where it is a pattern and it's not just a one-off event, it could be an issue where Madeline needs to take accountability for it. You know what I'm saying? In order to fix it. And when we say, like, let's take accountability, it's not saying, you know, you don't deserve to make a living anymore, so go out of business. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying think about how you can be in business in a more ethical way and not be causing harm to your customers and to the general public. And just because you're a business owner doesn't mean you have to like everybody. Like, um, I have bad reviews on my page because I told a police officer that the only good thing about him being a police officer is he might get shot. Um, fucking, why the fucking, why doesn't this captioner get everything? Fuck it. I'm gonna repeat that. Sorry, because the captioner didn't get it. One of my bad reviews, many of my bad reviews actually, are because I told a police officer the only good thing about him being a police officer is he might get shot. Fucking repeating that for this captioner, my bad. So, like, I have issues with individuals arguments and people don't like me for that. If you don't like me for that, don't want to buy from me from that, that's valid. Go for it. Don't do it. Fuck it. I don't really care about that personally. I don't give a fuck when business owners have issues and confrontations with other people. We are fucking humans. We don't have to be fucking perfect, in my opinion, for then people to say, well, now you don't deserve to live if you don't act good enough, right? I don't agree with that. But what I will say is you can't expect people to continue working relationships with you, or you also can't expect the working relationships you have to be ethical in value alignment if you are mistreating people. You know what I'm saying? And how you move in the world is going to connect to and draw like-minded individuals. And so think about that. Think about, I don't know, just let that marinate. All right. I know I've been talking a lot. I'm going to go before I say some weird ass shit. So check out the links in the description of this video, by the way. And also, please go check all of the links for the original kelp pants issues. Also linked in the description of this video. So go check all that shit out. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. Join the loyalty program at noladeafchild.com/loyalty and check in during live streams to get points for rewards.